Good evening, Fox fans. Just letting the Discorders know that I've finally got live. I say finally because for those of you that follow me on Discord, you will know that this stream this evening was not completely top secret. And that's why you have to be on Discord, you see. So, if you don't follow me on Discord, then these streams might just always remain a mystery. And if you follow me on Patreon, if you're one of my supporters on Patreon, I did have a Patreon and technically Discord private live stream earlier this evening. Pretty cool. Had a very interesting 2-hour chat with a little bunch of Fox fans earlier. Very interesting indeed. So it was a test stream, seeing if I could fathom how to work a patron only private stream, and yeah, it worked pretty well. So thanks to you, a bunch of patrons and a couple of Discorders that helped me with the stream earlier. Had quite a lot of giggles, and yeah, there was no reading; it was just chatting, but fun. And yeah, I do have a saved copy of that. Whether that's something that I should probably just destroy, or whether it is something I should have a saved copy of. Well, if you were there, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you ever watch the recorded stream, then you'll get some idea. But I do have a saved copy. I will upload that to Patreon if I can figure out the best way of doing it. I think I know a good way. And it will definitely be in the Patreon Google Drive as well. Everything goes in, like basically everything goes into the $5 Google Drive. A few selected things go in the $2 Google Drive. I'll definitely throw this one in both, just because it was the first time I've tried a Patreon only live stream and with video. So I think it's only fair that I share it wherever possible. So hello to Teresa and Kiara, making excellent time, second in the chat, and I believe that is even without being on Discord. I think that might have just been purely spontaneous. If so, very well done. And if you are in the Discord chat and I didn't realise, then I apologise. So hello to Erica and Shannon and Verby. Anchor's in here again. Nice to see you again after yesterday. Trinity Phoenix, hello. And Ada's back in the chat as well. Very nice to see you. And Antonio, cheers. And Elle's back in the chat again. Mama Fox is here. And Erin and Miranda Williams as well. Nice to see you. Another Fox fan veteran. And Christina. Violet Ninja, of course. And Logan is here. QWERTY Pie, Erica Rose. Is Hell the Dude is here too. I was trying to think, is there some other way I could be pronouncing that? There probably is. So good to see you. Div Yanch also, Linda Sharp, Aussie Juz. Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. And thanks very much for the kind words jumping in there, and also the advice that I should probably just destroy the video from earlier's private stream. Probably safe. Probably safe. Yeah, I know. The lighting in here is not great, and especially with my glasses on as well. Like I was thinking of putting my contact lenses in, but it just, no offense, but it just felt like a bit of a waste because I've got some new daily, like you only use them for one day and throw them away, which is probably not the best environmentally. But yeah, I thought I've not been wearing my contact lenses today. If I put them in just for a few hours and then throw them away, it seems like a bit of a waste. So I'll just wear my Nerd Fox glasses instead. But because it's nighttime and the lighting in here, like I said, is not so great, so you're getting a real nasty reflection there. So I'm sorry about that. You'll just have to live with it, I'm afraid. If you want to stay here, then you're gonna have to look at the shiny green lights. So how are we doing? Yeah, I had been on earlier. I'd planned to come live a little bit earlier than it's actually been. So sorry for those of you in the Discord chat that have been waiting around a little bit, getting a bit bored, getting a bit restless, getting a bit mischievous. But I had to take a phone call. Well, I wanted to take a phone call, and I wanted to make a cup of coffee because it's quite late. It's 20 past midnight in Sweden. I've been up since pretty early, to say the least, and I'm tired. But equally very happy to be here. Really enjoyed yesterday's stream. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. Really nice to be reading for you guys again. Really nice to be streaming again. And obviously very fun to be experimenting with the video aspect as well. And yeah, like I was saying in the private live stream earlier, thank you so much for all the praise and all the fun comments regarding the video. Very nice indeed. So, big confidence booster there. Thanks ever so much. And still just making it through the chat here, seeing who else has popped in. Irma is here, yeah, aka Mr. Editor from Discord. Nice to see you. And Alice as well, and Lookman is here again. Very nice to see you. JP Nads lets me know that they're definitely not here. Also excellent to know. Elena Denolf is here as well. Very nice. Anybody else? Olivia also. Very good. Awesome stuff. A lot of familiar faces and some new faces too. Oh, and Donna as well. Excellent. Excellent. And D comes in. Deborah Sanders comes in. 3 points. Right on the buzzer. Good stuff. Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think you can't really see, it's too dark. But my eyes are sort of emerald green anyway. So if anything, the reflection is just trying to give you the true experience of what my eyes actually look like. And Org Dog joins in as well. Hello. Okay. I see you're all sitting and waiting very patiently. That's lovely. Unlike the behavior that we saw in the private live stream earlier, all got a little bit out of control. Nah, I'm joking. It was really, really, really fun. But look, shall we just get straight into some reading this evening? Because yesterday there was, like an hour and a half of chat, which I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said earlier as well, it was nice for me just to kind of warm up again, catch up a little bit, give you a bit of news, all that kind of stuff. But whilst I have a nice little bunch of you here, shall we just get straight into some story time? I would like to continue with Alice in Wonderland again today. The first chapter seemed to be very, very popular yesterday, and I changed the style of the reading a little bit from when I read Alice on the Red Fox Book Club last year. Hey Carla. Hello Acid Noir again. Thank you for joining 2 days in a row. So Alice went down really well. I think we should continue. The more kind of relaxing style seemed to be very popular. So I think I'm going to jump into chapter 2 now. Show you the pictures as I go along. I'll keep the same style as I did yesterday. Yeah, the audio is fixed. I figured that out earlier. I realised that I had the same. I said yesterday I had the same issue when I was streaming on Twitch for the first time, and because I've had to re-download my streaming software, it's reset my settings, and I'd forgot that I'd had to change the settings. So when you set it up, the default setting is stereo sound, but as I've only got one microphone, it tries to apply stereo with only half of the audio available, so it just gave left side and left the right hand side out. But yeah, I changed that to mono, so it should be coming through both ear holes very clearly, I hope. So, Foxy Book Club, let's get started. Nice leisurely reading of Alice in Wonderland, and we'll just take it from there. So, as I asked yesterday, I said, would you like me to change the camera so that you can read along, or are you happy just looking at me? And a lot of you seem to find it quite entertaining to watch me read, so that's cool. And then I just will keep showing you the pictures as we go along, because this is a beautifully illustrated copy of Alice in Wonderland. Like I said a few times yesterday, it's a copy from 1949, and I was actually the first person to read this copy as well, even though it's 70 years old. And how do I know that? As I showed you yesterday, the pages were still sealed shut. Still sealed shut. So I've opened the first half. I've opened all the pages for Alice in Wonderland, but through the looking glass, the second part of this story is still sealed up. So pretty special, really. And you will get to enjoy the little illustrations as we go along. Okay. You can get the Foxy Book Club ringtone. I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones that I shared on Discord and Patreon last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody's familiar with the $5 Google Drive, the Patreon Google Drive, there is a ringtones folder. You were talking about it yesterday. So there is, I'm pretty sure there's a Foxy Book Club, and there's a bunch of others. Some silly ones. I think we need some new ones as well. Yeah, I thought it was one of them. I'm glad that your right ear is happier this evening, Olivia. That's very nice. Okay, so get settled and let's enjoy some of Lewis Carroll's classic. Chapter 2. Pool of Tears. Curiouser and curiouser, cried Alice. She was so much surprised that for the moment she quite forgot how to speak good English. Now I'm opening out like the largest telescope that ever was. Goodbye, feet. For when she looked down at her feet, they seemed to be almost out of sight. They were getting so far off. Oh, my poor little feet. I wonder who will put on your shoes and stockings for you now, dears. I'm sure I shan't be able. I shall be a great deal too far off to trouble myself about you. You must manage the best way you can. But I must be kind to them, thought Alice. Or perhaps they won't walk the way I want to go. Let me see. I'll give them a new pair of boots every Christmas. And she went on planning to herself how she would manage it. They must go by the carrier, she thought, and how funny it'll seem, sending presents to one's own feet, and how odd the directions will look. Alice's right foot Esquire, hearthrug, near the fender, with Alice's love. Oh dear, what nonsense I'm talking. Just then, her head struck against the roof of the hall. In fact, she was now more than 9 feet high, and she at once took up the little golden key and hurried off to the garden door. Poor Alice. It was as much as she could do, lying down on one side, to look through into the garden with one eye. But to get through was more hopeless than ever. She sat down and began to cry again. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, said Alice. A great girl like you. She might well say this. To go on crying in this way. Stop this moment, I tell you. But she went on all the same, shedding gallons of tears, until there was a large pool all round her, about 4 inches deep and reaching half down the hall. After a time, she heard a little pattering of feet in the distance, and she hastily dried her eyes to see what was coming. It was the White Rabbit returning, splendidly dressed, with a pair of white kid gloves in one hand and a large fan in the other. He came trotting along in a great hurry, muttering to himself as he came. Oh, the Duchess, the Duchess! Oh, she won't be savage if I've kept her waiting. Oh. Alice felt so desperate that she was ready to ask help of anyone. So, when the rabbit came near her, she began, in a low, timid voice, If you please, sir. The rabbit started violently, dropped the white kid gloves and the fan, and scurried away into the darkness as hard as he could go. Alice took up the fan and gloves, and, as the hall was very hot, she kept fanning herself all the time she went on talking. Dear, dear, how queer everything is today, and yesterday things went on just as usual. I wonder if I've been changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, the next question is, who in the world am I? That's the great puzzle. And she began thinking over all the children she knew that were of the same age as herself, to see if she could have been changed for any of them. I'm sure I'm not Ada, she said, for her hair goes in such long ringlets, and mine doesn't go in ringlets at all. And I'm sure I can't be Mabel, for I know all sorts of things, and she knows such a very little. Besides, she, and I'm I, and oh dear, how puzzling it all is. I'll try if I know all the things I used to know. Let me see. 4 times 5 is 12, and 4 times 6 is 13, and 4 times 7 is... Oh dear, I shall never get to 20 at that rate. However, the multiplication table doesn't signify. Let's try geography. London is the capital of Paris, and Paris is the capital of Rome, and Rome... No, that's all wrong. I'm certain. I must have been changed for Mabel. I'll try and say, how doth the little... And she crossed her hands on her laps, as if she were saying lessons, and began to repeat it. But her voice sounded hoarse and strange, and the words did not come the same as they used to. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. I'm sure those are not the right words, said poor Alice, and her eyes filled with tears again as she went on. I must be Mabel after all. I shall have to go and live in that poky little house and have next to no toys to play with, and, oh, ever so many lessons to learn. No, I've made up my mind about it. If I'm Mabel, I'll stay down here. It'll be no use their putting their heads down and saying, "Come up again, dear." I shall only look up and say, "Who am I then?" Tell me that first, and then if I like being that person, I'll come up. If not, I'll stay down here till I'm somebody else. But oh dear, cried Alice, with a sudden burst of tears. I do wish they would put their heads down. I'm so very tired of being all alone here. As she said this, she looked down at her hands and was surprised to see what she had put on one of the rabbit's little white kid gloves while she was talking. How can I have done that? She thought. I must be growing small again. She got up and went to the table to measure herself by it, and found that, as nearly as she could guess, she was now about 2 feet high, and was going on shrinking rapidly. She soon found out that the cause of this was the fan she was holding, and she dropped it hastily, just in time to avoid shrinking away altogether. Oh, that was a narrow escape, said Alice, a good deal frightened at the sudden change, but very glad to find herself still in existence.
"And now for the garden!"
And she ran with all speed, back to the little door. But alas, the little door was shut again, and the little golden key was lying on the glass table as before.
"And things are worse than ever," thought the poor child, "for I never was so small as this before, never, and I declare it's too bad that it is."
As she said these words, her foot slipped, and in another moment, splash! She was up to her chin in salt water. Her first idea was that she had somehow fallen into the sea.
"And in that case I can go back by railway," she said to herself.
Alice had been to the seaside once in her life, and had come to the general conclusion that wherever you go to on the English coast, you find a number of bathing machines in the sea, some children digging in the sand with wooden spades, then a row of lodging houses, and behind them a railway station. However, she soon made out that she was in a pool of her tears, which she had wept when she was 9 feet high.
"Oh, I wish I hadn't cried so much," said Alice as she swam about, trying to find her way out. "I shall be punished for it now, I suppose, by being drowned in my own tears. That will be a queer thing, to be sure. However, everything is queer today."
Just then, she heard something splashing about in the pool a little way off, and she swam nearer to make out what it was. At first she thought it must be a walrus or hippopotamus, but then she remembered how small she was, and she soon made out that it was only a mouse that had slipped in like herself.
"Would it be of any use now," thought Alice, "to speak to this mouse? Everything is so out of the way down here that I should think very likely it can talk. At any rate, there's no harm in trying."
So she began.
"Oh, mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? I am very tired of swimming about here, oh mouse."
Alice thought this must be the right way of speaking to a mouse. She had never done such a thing before, but she remembered having seen in her brother's Latin grammar, "A mouse of a mouse, to a mouse, oh mouse." The mouse looked at her rather inquisitively, and seemed to her to wink with its little eyes, but it said nothing.
"Perhaps it doesn't understand English," thought Alice. "I dare say it's a French mouse, come over with William the Conqueror."
For, with all her knowledge of history, Alice had no very clear notion of how long ago anything had happened. So she began again.
"Où est ma chatte?"
which was the first sentence in her French lesson book. The mouse gave a sudden leap out of the water and seemed to quiver all over with fright.
"Oh, I beg your pardon,"
cried Alice hastily, afraid that she had hurt the poor animal's feelings.
"I quite forgot you don't like cats."
"Not like cats?"
cried the mouse, in a shrill, passionate voice.
"Would you like cats if you were me?"
"Well, perhaps not," said Alice in a soothing tone. "Don't be angry about it. And yet, I wish I could show you our cat Dinah. I think you'd take a fancy to cats if you could only see her. She is such a dear, quiet thing." Alice went on, half to herself, as she swam lazily about the pool. "And she sits purring so nicely by the fire, licking her paws and washing her face, and she is such a nice, soft thing to nurse. and she's such a capital one for catching mice. Oh, I beg your pardon, cried Alice again, for this time the mouse was bristling all over,
and she felt certain it must be really offended.
We won't talk about her any more, if you'd rather not.
We indeed,
cried the mouse, who was trembling down to the end of his tail.
As if I would talk on such a subject. Our family always hated cats. Nasty, low, vulgar things. Don't let me hear the name again.
I won't indeed, said Alice, in a great hurry to change the subject of conversation. Are you fond of dogs? The mouse did not answer, so Alice went on eagerly. There is such a nice little dog near our house, I should like to show you. A little bright-eyed terrier, you know, with, oh, such long curly brown hair, and it'll fetch things when you throw them, and it'll sit up and beg for its dinner and all sorts of things. I can't remember half of them, and it belongs to a farmer. You know, he says it's so useful it's worth £100. He says it kills all the rats and... Oh, dear, cried Alice in a sorrowful tone. I'm afraid I've offended it again. For the mouse was swimming away from her as hard as it could go, and making quite a commotion in the pool as it went. So she called softly after it. Mouse dear, do come back again, and we won't talk about cats or dogs either, if you don't like them. When the mouse heard this, it turned round and swam slowly back to her. Its face was quite pale. With passion, Alice thought, and it said in a low, trembling voice,
Let us go to the shore, and then I'll tell you my history, and you'll understand why it is I hate cats and dogs.
It was high time to go, for the pool was getting quite crowded with the birds and animals that had fallen into it. There were a duck and a dodo, a lory and an eaglet, and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the party swam to the shore. So, that was the end of chapter 2. And most curiously, no illustrations in that chapter. There were quite a few in chapter 1, but none in chapter 2. So, sorry about that. But chapter 3 does have pictures. It has one black and white picture and it has one colour illustration. Very nice. And it also has a rather interestingly printed poem as well, so I will make sure to show you that. Oh, thank you so much, Carla. Very kind. Thank you very much for the little tip. That is very sweet. And as the first tipper of the stream, Carla, I was going to say the first tipper of this year, but I think Shelley may have tipped during the stream back in February. Was it February? But Carla, as the first tipper of the night, would you have a character voice request or something you would like me to say?
And thank you so much for the praise. I was really trying to just focus on the reading. I didn't want to mess up like I did a little bit yesterday, getting distracted by the chat. Sorry, the video is not as clear as yesterday. I don't think it's as clear as yesterday because the lighting is poor. But if these streams continue to be fun and popular and everything, then I will definitely try and improve the lighting and even improve the video recorder as well, because this is just the built-in video recorder from my new laptop that I was mentioning yesterday. But thank you so much for the praise. I'm just reading a few of your comments. And I would absolutely love to voice animated movies, games, stuff like that. I have been looking into that a little bit. I don't really know how to go about that. I've been mentioning Casting Call Club a little bit, and I auditioned for 3 different little projects that were on there, and I got one of them. So there's like I've mentioned a few times, there's a small part coming in a dramatic audiobook reading that will be on YouTube in a few months. But yeah, I really, really need to look into that more. Because to be honest, I think I could definitely land parts if I audition for them. Like Audible is super competitive, especially for the paid projects like I was talking about yesterday. The commission only, like sales only ones are still competitive, but the paid for project ones are incredibly competitive. But with the Casting Call Club, the auditions for smaller video game projects, animation projects, dramatic audiobook projects, they're very, very, very competitive. Often dozens, if not hundreds of people record auditions for each character. So there's often hundreds and hundreds of auditions for the project altogether, and very many per character, especially if it's a paid role. So the one that I got recently was a paid role. It was only a very minor, very, very minor paid role, but a paid role nonetheless. So that made it even more of a compliment, because I think 29 people auditioned, and I got the part. So that's very nice. So I definitely think that I can get the parts. I just need to find them, and like I was saying earlier as well, just having the mental and physical space to pursue those things. And I do need to try and find bigger projects. Like, how do I go about auditioning for bigger things? Because I don't really have a clue. Of course, you can just send emails to big companies and stuff like that, but that can be an awful lot of time and energy spent, and you might not hear a thing. And you can join paid websites like Backstage and other ones that have bigger projects available to audition for, but they're super expensive, some of these websites. Like, some of them are only about $10, $15, $20 a month, and some of them they're like $35, $40 a month. Or there was one of them that's apparently a very popular one, that you have to pay for the whole year unless you want to pay something ridiculous per month. And for the year, it was something like, it was like $300-$400 just to join a website that gives you job adverts. Like, I mean, they're not an agent or something. They don't help you get gigs. They literally just provide the service. They just provide a forum for adverts. It's crazy. So it's a very competitive industry and an expensive one. And if you don't have contacts, if you don't have friends and family and all this kind of stuff that are in the business, it seems like it's pretty tough. But you know, I'm here for the long haul. You know, I really, 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 really am very determined to be successful. And you guys, the Fox fans on YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, you know, you will always be, you know, the hardcore, the originals, the Fox fans, and closest to my heart and everything. But I'm also, of course, trying to find professional opportunities as well. So last year I invested a lot of time in Audible. At the start of this year, I started investing a lot of time in Audible auditions as opposed to Audible projects that I've been offered. And then I was also looking into freelancing voiceover websites again, which I spent quite a bit of time on last year, but I'd left it for a few months. And looking into other things like Casting Call Club and these other advertising websites and everything, and then just trying to give you guys as much of my time as possible. So until a few weeks ago, when I was getting really distracted by my private life, I actually, for a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months, like kind of like March, April, May, that kind of thing, I was only working on YouTube, Patreon, that kind of stuff, you know. So I was really pouring everything into you guys, because you're very important. And I love just kind of doing what I want to do, doing what you enjoy. It's very different to working with clients or for authors or whatever. It's a very different experience. And auditioning is extremely demanding. It's very tiring, like mentally. Auditioning, like spending a lot of time researching, finding the gigs, seeing what's appropriate, analyzing the script, what's expected of you, whether you can suit the role, practicing the role, recording the script, editing the script, listening back to it, checking it out, posting it, and then potentially not actually ever hearing anything back from the person that you've sent it to. Yeah, so it's really tiring. You have to just like have a tough skin. I mean, I find it very fun as well, but you know, as recording my readings, making these audiobooks for you guys is just purely a lovely experience. So oh, Carla W has decided on Professor Snape. I see. Most interesting, I must say. Actually, I don't care much for impressions. Impersonations, I think, are rather childish play. But if it helps you become ever so slightly less useless at potions, then I suppose I can tolerate it. A bit of spontaneous Snape for you. And that, of course, is supposed to be my version of Snape, not the movie Snape. Although, yeah, I was obviously very influenced by Alan Rickman when I started playing around with Snape voices back in the first Harry Potter book. Thank you kindly. And Miss Carla, do you perhaps know what house you're in here in Hogwarts? Is that too much to ask? Because I hate to say it, but I think your most generous donation to Red Fox Voice does deserve perhaps a small reward. A single house point, I suppose. Ah, Hufflepuff. Shame, shame. Can't always be fortunate, but at least you're not in Gryffindor. So, 2 points for Hufflepuff. Don't get too excited. I'm sure that Miss Teresa Snell is more than capable of losing them in a heartbeat. How are we all doing this evening? It's very nice to have you in the book club. Very nice indeed. And next stream, I will try and make sure that I actually announce the stream rather than just. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I will try and get better at announcing this. I purposely didn't announce it yesterday, just a little bit on Discord, and same today, just on Discord, and technically via Patreon, technically. But as we get warmed up with the book clubs, then like I said yesterday, I'll try and make sure that I at least give you a few hours notice, if not an hour. Like a day or two. Yeah, I'm a Ravenclaw apparently. Hence the glasses. And I was saying earlier that most of my life I've not worn glasses, even though the very kind and talented graphic designer Larina that created the little foxes here, she decided to give me glasses anyway, even though she didn't even know I wore glasses. So, but yeah, I've started wearing contact lenses. I was wearing contacts yesterday, but I've not been wearing my contacts today, so I've just kept with the glasses. I saw that Irma was saying that you wanted to donate $2 for some more Snape. That's very kind. If you would like to support the stream, as they say, you can do that. You're obviously very, very, very welcome to do that. There should be an option actually on screen somewhere, like if you scroll down. But you can also, there's also a link in the video description up at the top. It says like to tip my stream with like a couple of beers. And there's the link there, and if you follow the link through, you can donate through PayPal or just through your bank if you want to. So, and as I've always said with Patreon, PayPal donations, and all these other things, donations are never, ever, ever, ever expected or anything like that. It's just a bonus. So, yeah. And for those of you that would like to support me, I strongly recommend Patreon, because you unlock a lot of extra content as well. So one-off donations in PayPal are incredible, and donations on the stream and stuff like that, absolutely flipping awesome, you know. Oh, thanks so much, Teresa. Did that pop up? Why am I seeing it and you're not seeing it? I don't have to click this stuff. Oh, there you go. It just has a little bit of delay. Thanks so much, Teresa. Just let me finish my sentence. So those one-off donations are incredible and hugely, hugely appreciated. But if you have like a couple of dollars to spare, and you're thinking, okay, it's not just a one-off thing, I'd like it to be a regular thing, then Patreon is the place to go, as many of you know, because then, depending how much you pledge, you can unlock these Google Drives, with dozens, if not hundreds, of audio files that you can listen to online or download. So, pretty cool. And you can obviously unlock the patron only newsfeed. There's polls on there from time to time, so you can vote for various things. And technically, at the highest level, I do offer requests as well, like commissioned readings, which I must admit I'm not very good at keeping up with those things. So fortunately, the top foxes, the alchemists that pledge $20, have been very cool with that. So To Marry a Prince, as I've mentioned many times, that is a commission. Jurassic Park is technically a commission. Ender's Game was a commission before it got taken down off YouTube. And Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that I did one I did one reading of on Twitch. That was a prize. That was a little prize through Patreon as well. And I really need to get better with this. So if you are a $20 patron and you're getting sick of my incompetence, then please... Thanks so much, Erica. Thank you so much, Shannon. You are very, very kind. You're very kind. But if you're getting sick of my incompetence, alchemists, top patrons, just please tell me, and I will do my best to pick up the pace, whether I'm reading the story of your choice on YouTube or on Twitch, or maybe if it's something that we're worried that there could be some copyright problems or something like that, then I can always do a private stream, you know, so it's just like reading to a friend. You can't copyright strike friendship. Famous last words. Famous last words. Yeah, it's funny that it's a zombie. I actually tried to change that earlier. It was supposed to be Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog. So don't know what happened there. I actually changed that in the settings, but it's not happened, has it? It's not happened. But I mean, I thought the zombie was pretty cool, so it's fine. So Teresa, is there a voice or something that you would like me to say? You've got $5 worth of request credit, and that goes to you too, Erica. And Shannon, you've got $2. So anything, any requests? Any requests? Thanks. Thanks, Ada. I try my best. Thanks, Fox fans. Sorry if I know I'm missing loads of the chat. I just saw a lovely message from With Love Pixie. So I'm really sorry I'm missing a lot of the chat today. But I always watch the streams back through, so I will definitely see your comments. Don't worry, even if I'm missing them right here, right now. Oh, that's a shame, Irma. Not available from Turkey. That's strange. There isn't a donation link in Patreon. Patreon is donation. So Patreon is a crowdfunding website. So you choose a certain amount that you want to pledge every month. You can cancel it at any time. You can change the pledge at any time. So, you know, you join up, you say $2. I get a message saying that you've joined, and then I can add you to a private Google Drive. You can listen to extra stuff, and then whenever you want to cancel it, you can cancel it. If you want to decrease it to $1 for some time, you can do that. If you want to increase it to $5 and get more stuff, you can do that. So that's Patreon. It's a crowdfunding website. It's absolutely fantastic. Patreon does take a cut of the donations, of the support, but it's super small. Like, this is what I've always said, like, YouTube, you know, I recently got this channel monetized again, even though the income is super small, and only some of my videos are monetized. The Harry Potter ones, for example, aren't monetized. But YouTube takes 55% of the advertising revenue, as Patreon takes 5%, and then there's about 5% of like processing fees, and then there's like a couple of percent can go to PayPal and things like that. These like transfer fees, conversion fees, processing fees. But so basically it comes to like 10 to 15% cut, as opposed to YouTube that takes 55. So Patreon is awesome. Did Teresa ever request something? Oh, you said Hagrid, please, or a chapter of Prince. Yeah, I do technically owe you a chapter of Prince, so that will be coming soon. I'm gonna do another chapter of Alice next, but yeah, you already pledge more than enough for chapters of To Marry a Prince, so don't you worry about that, Teresa. It will come. But I suppose we could have a little bit of Hagrid. I don't mind that. But how about you, Shannon? Like, can't be having you missing out. And Erica, didn't you be donating $5 earlier? Mighty kind. Mighty kind indeed. What did you say? Sorry, I'm always a wee bit slow with these things. Wee bit, never been too smart myself. I did get expelled from Hogwarts. It's a bit embarrassing, don't you know? But it happens, and I'm just very happy to be here. All right, okay, that's very nice, Erica. I do think that it would be mighty nice to take a little tour into the woods one time, deep into the woods. And maybe see if we can find some fantastical creatures while we're there. Be always nice, I think. Maybe, to do a wee bit of commentary with Hagrid. We are boy Hagrid here. Might find some dragons if we're lucky. There's all sorts in the woods, you never know what you're gonna find. Might even find centaurs, you gotta be watching those. Crafty folk centaurs. Not too bright themselves, I sometimes think, always getting distracted. Looking up at the sky more than they are the ground. You could bump straight into them, they won't even notice if Mars is bright tonight. If you know what I'm saying. Loopy they are, but wonderful creatures they are too. I wonder if there's any unicorns out there tonight. Don't get to go into the woods too much these days, too busy with the flubberworms. Bloomin' flubberworms. Always dying on me. I'm doing a bit of a softer Hagrid now, but if I'm doing Hagrid for the recorded Harry Potter chapters, and I'm gruffing it up a bit more, and if it's like a stressful chapter, then yeah, it can get a little bit rough on the vocal cords, to be honest. But it's not too bad. I can feel it sometimes. If there's been a lot of Hagrid in a chapter, and especially, like I said, if it's quite intense, and I'm delivering it like really full on and louder, then yeah, it does start to grate a little bit. But it's very fun. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Nice to see you, Amira. Just noticed you'd popped into the book club as well. Popped in for a chat. Shame I can't get the sound effects on here. Could do with a bit of Sonos. Is it Sonos? Sonorous. Forgetting my own flippin' spells. And we could say, welcome. Don't want to disturb the neighbours. I just thought might get into a spot of bother. Oh, sorry, Amira. It happens. I miss stuff. I do miss stuff sometimes. I could do with a glass of water, actually. I've exhausted my water supply. All right, Ida. I guess I could always pop on a Hagrid ringtone. Don't suppose it would cause any bother. But what would you have me say if I was to do a ringtone? You're a wizard? Just one moment, please. I am off to get a spot of water. Hello. Good evening. Which one, Shannon? I don't know what you're apologising for. Was it the sudden outburst? Shall... Oh, you mean that's slightly whispered one? I don't know, that might have been a new voice. I'm not sure. It reminded me a little bit of one of my attempts at Dumbledore or Gandalf or something. No, there isn't a Snape ringtone. I can definitely do a Snape ringtone, Emma. And any suggestions on which particular line from the book or something fun to say is always nice. So at the moment, there's some Vernon Dursley and Ron and the Foxy Foxy Book Club and Read to You Soon. What's the... I think is there 4 at the moment, I think. I'm just checking. Just boosting up the drive. It's been a bit slow. Ringtones. Oh. Yeah, that's Vernon Dursley as well. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you hear this? No, you won't. I don't think I'll be able to. Don't think. Oh, maybe if I play it loud enough. My computer's going really slow now because of the stream running in the background. Bit annoying.
I don't know what school you're talking about. Never contact me again.
Yeah. I don't know what school you're talking about. Never contact me again. And then there's the one that I was doing on the stream yesterday that I want to talk to Harry Potter. There is no Harry Potter here. And then there's the Foxy Book Club. And read to you soon. But yeah, very silly. This was like a spontaneous little idea that a couple of patrons had, and we had a bit of chat about it on Discord many months ago. So some new ideas would be nice. Yeah, the You're a Wizard would work for sure. Oh, 5 points from Gryffindor. Yeah, like there's a couple of good ones for Snape for sure. Like I think the whole page. What page is it? Come on, hardcore Potterheads. What page does he ask them to turn to? Because there's a good, that whole sequence is really good, I think. And yeah, anything to do with taking points off Gryffindor. Yes. Turn to page 394. Exactly. That's a good one. And yeah, it definitely doesn't just have to be Harry Potter characters. No way. No way. Yeah, you could definitely test me with something that I've not even read. Like, well, I've read all of the Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire books many years ago. But I mean something that I've not narrated. Or it could be something from Lord of the Rings. Or Secret Garden. Someone was just leaving a really nice comment about my Colin voice from The Secret Garden today, actually. And I really enjoyed like Mary, Dickon, Colin, Ben Weatherstaff. You know, real fun for those of you that know The Secret Garden. But yeah, there's other stuff too. I can practically hear Snape gritting his teeth. What is the difference between Wolfsbane? Oh, what's the other one? I need to go back to wizarding school. Eva. I used to love that. I completely forgot about Wally. Totally forgot how much I enjoyed doing Wally voices when that movie came out. Wally. Eva. That's a good one. I saw another. Oh, Dobby. Someone was mentioning. Yeah, I've not done Dobby for ages because I've been doing Winky. I think I've got them two crossed over now. Yeah, I think I'd need some lines from the book so that I don't just become Winky. Eva. And Gollum is always a favourite. Always. I hate it. I hate Bagginses. Why don't... I want some... I don't know where my copy of The Hobbit is. Because I've been moving house recently, I could find it, but
I could find it, I suppose.
Just Googling Gollum quotes. Because that is how you spend your Wednesday night. If you don't spend the occasional Wednesday night searching Gollum quotes, then what's the point?
It cannot be seen, cannot be felt, cannot be heard, cannot be smelt. It lies behind stars and under hills, and empty holes it fills. It comes first and follows after, ends life, kills laughter. We want it! We need it! We must have the precious! They stole it from us, sneaky little hobbitses! Wicked, tricksy, false! Gollum! Gollum! Gollums.
Stitch. I don't think I ever saw Lilo and Stitch. I definitely saw like little clips of it, and I think there was a cartoon, wasn't there? I did bits. Sorry, I saw bits of the cartoon,
But I don't think I ever saw the movie.
You shall not harm Harry Potter. Dobby is free.
I wonder if that was close enough.
Got a sock. Master has given Dobby a sock.
Is Stitch as creepy as Gollum and Smeagol? I hope not. Always. Just always. Those voices don't hurt my throat particularly. Which thing are you talking about, Teresa? Always. Always. Be quiet, Miss Granger. Yeah, sorry, I thought there was more to it. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I need to see that scene again, Teresa, to be able to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I need to see that scene again. I don't know the films that well, to be honest. I've seen them all. Some of them a couple of times, for sure. And read all the books, of course. Foxy Book Club. But I'm not like a huge Harry Potter film fan. I really, really love the books, and I like the films. Don't get me wrong. I do. They're very cozy. I think some of them are really good. I think Prisoner of Azkaban is maybe the best, in my opinion, of the films. But yeah, they're solid. They're solid. Some brilliant actors. Some very good scenes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, should we have a little bit more reading before it gets even later? It's now 1:35 a.m. here in Stockholm, Sweden. You know, I'd really like to read chapter 3 of Alice in Wonderland this evening. And then on the next stream, whenever that is, like I said yesterday, and if you missed the stream yesterday, you know there is the recorded version of the stream as well. So I've shared a 35-minute extract from the stream, which is just the Alice in Wonderland segment. But you can also watch the whole 2.5 hour stream as well if you would like to. It's there on my channel. And like I said on the stream yesterday, I would like to get into a little bit of a routine where I announce the stream is going to be on YouTube, start with a little bit of chat, read something from the public domain, one of the classics, maybe read one of the commissioned stories, to marry a prince, for example, something like that, and then transfer over to Twitch for a live reading of Harry Potter. So I'm really, really anxious to read chapter 11 of The Goblet of Fire live. I really enjoyed doing the Harry Potter readings live last year with Prisoner of Azkaban, but I just don't feel comfortable doing them on YouTube for obvious reasons, you know, with videos getting taken down and all that kind of thing. So I want to make sure that the live streams on YouTube are completely risk-free, so that I feel completely comfortable with the videos here, you know, that I can have them on my channel. They're not going to get taken down. It's not going to be any complications, any copyright strikes. So yeah, I just saw you saying, Irma, this stream will also, of course, be available afterwards as well. So it always takes quite a long time for YouTube to process a live stream once it's finished, especially if it's longer than 2 hours. So at first, there might only be a certain amount, like 2 hours of the stream available. And then after a few hours, the whole stream will become available. So, cheers, Shannon. Starting to look tired, am I? Thanks. Cheers. Earlier, you were being so complimentary. Now I look tired. I'm only joking. I didn't realise you were still here, Mama Fox. Good night. And see you soon when you're coming over to Stockholm next week. Thanks very much, Alok. Scarlet Pimpernel. Yeah. You know, I've read 2 of the Sherlock Holmes books, and I'd really like to explore other Sherlock Holmes stories and similar stories. Scarlet Pimpernel could be really good. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Eric. I was only teasing. I think, yeah, I'm only teasing. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining. Those of you that are heading to bed and such, or you've got other things to get on with. But for you still tuned in, would you like another chapter of Alice in Wonderland? That's the question. I'm just having a quick look at it again. It's not a long one, to be fair. It's 5 pages and a poem. The last chapter was 6 pages, nearly. So, it's nothing too epic. Good night, peeps. Yeah, crazy. Not even 8 p.m. over in the US. Fresh. The night is young. But yeah, I've definitely got one more chapter in me. No worries. No worries. I probably won't be able to do more than that tonight because I was streaming for 2 hours earlier. So that's 3.5 hours today so far. And this is going to be like another half an hour altogether with a bit of chit chat and all that afterwards. So, but yeah, absolutely no problem with chapter 3. Oh, that's very nice, Amira. A soothing voice, I think, is always a good thing. I'm sure there are certain occasions where it could be dangerous if you had the responsibility of trying to keep someone awake that was perhaps flying a plane or was in charge of a nuclear reactor or something like that, then a soothing voice could cause complications. But generally, I think a good thing. Yeah, exactly. Don't drive and fox. Okay, so Chapter 3 of Alice in Wonderland. A caucus race and a long tail. They were indeed a queer-looking party that assembled on the bank. The birds with draggled feathers, the animals with their fur clinging close to them, and all dripping wet, cross and uncomfortable. The first question, of course, was how to get dry again. They had a consultation about this, and after a few minutes it seemed quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them, as if she had known them all her life. Indeed, she had quite a long argument with the Lory, who at last turned sulky, and would only say, "I am older than you, and must know better." And this Alice would not allow without knowing how old it was, and, as the Lory positively refused to tell its age, there was no more to be said. At last, the mouse, who seemed to be a person of authority among them, called out,
"Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough."
They all sat down at once, in a large ring, with the mouse in the middle. Alice kept her eyes anxiously fixed on it,
for she felt sure she would catch a bad cold if she did not get dry very soon. Said the mouse with an important air.
Are you all ready? This is the driest thing I know. Silence all round, if you please. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favoured by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders, and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and conquest. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria,
said the Lory with a shiver.
I beg your pardon,
said the mouse, frowning, but very politely.
Did you speak?
Not I, said the Lory hastily.
I thought you did,
said the mouse.
I proceed. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria, declared for him, and even Stigand, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it advisable.
Found what? Said the duck.
Found it,
the mouse replied rather crossly.
Of course you know what it means.
I know what it means well enough when I find a thing, said the duck. It's generally a frog or a worm. The question is, what did the Archbishop find? The mouse did not notice this question, but hurriedly went on.
Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling to meet William and offer him the crown. William's conduct at first was moderate, but the insolence of his Normans... How are you getting on now, my dear?
It continued, turning to Alice as it spoke. As wet as ever, said Alice in a melancholy tone. It doesn't seem to dry me at all. In that case, said the dodo solemnly, rising to its feet, I move that the meeting adjourn for the immediate adoption of more energetic remedies.
Speak English,
said the eaglet.
I don't know the meaning of half those long words, and, what's more, I don't believe you do either.
And the eaglet bent down its head to hide a smile. Some of the other birds tittered audibly. What I was going to say, said the dodo in an offended tone, was that the best thing to get us dry would be a caucus race. What is a caucus race? Said Alice. Not that she much wanted to know, but the dodo had paused as if it had thought that somebody ought to speak, and no one else seemed inclined to say anything. Why, said the dodo, the best way to explain it is to do it. The bedraggled birds. And, as you might like to try the thing yourselves some winter day, I will tell you how the dodo managed it. First, it marked out a racecourse in a sort of circle. The exact shape doesn't matter, it said. And then all the party were placed along the course, here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3 and away, but they began running when they liked, and left off when they liked,
so that it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, when they had been running half an hour or so and were quite dry again, the dodo suddenly called out, "The race is over!" And they all crowded round it, panting and asking,
"But who has won?"
This question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought, and it sat for a long time, with one finger pressed upon its forehead, the position in which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him, while the rest waited in silence. At last the dodo said, "Everybody has won, and all must have prizes."
"But who is to give the prizes?"
Quite a chorus of voices asked. "Why, she, of course," said the dodo, pointing to Alice with one finger, and the whole party at once crowded round her, calling out in a confused way,
"Prizes! Prizes!"
Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair she put her hand in her pocket and pulled out a box of comfits. Luckily the salt water had not got into it, and handed them round as prizes. There was exactly one apiece all round.
"But she must have a prize herself, you know," said the mouse.
"Of course," the dodo replied very gravely. "What else have you got in your pocket?" he went on, turning to Alice.
"Only a thimble," said Alice sadly.
"Hand it over here," said the dodo. Then they all crowded round her once more, while the dodo solemnly presented the thimble, saying, "We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble." And when it had finished this short speech, they all cheered. Alice thought the whole thing very absurd, but they all looked so grave that she did not dare to laugh, and as she could not think of anything to say, she simply bowed and took the thimble, looking as solemn as she could. The next thing was to eat the comfits. This caused some noise and confusion, as the large birds complained that they could not taste theirs, and the small ones choked and had to be patted on the back. However, it was over at last, and they sat down again in a ring and begged the mouse to tell them something more.
"You promised to tell me your history, you know," said Alice, "and why it is you hate C and D," she added in a whisper, half afraid that it would be offended again. "Mine is a long and a sad tale," said the mouse, turning to Alice and sighing. "It is a long tale, certainly," said Alice, looking down with wonder at the mouse's tail. "But why do you call it sad?" And she kept on puzzling about it while the mouse was speaking, so that her idea of the tale was something like this. Here is the poem. Fury said to a mouse that he met in the house, "Let us both go to law. I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial. We must have a trial, for really this morning I've nothing to do." Said the mouse to the cur, "Such a trial, dear sir, with no jury or judge, would be wasting our breath. I'll be judge,
I'll be jury, said cunning old Fury. Try the whole cause, and condemn you to death.
Very humbly. You had got to the 5th bend, I think.
I had not,
cried the mouse angrily. And not? Said Alice, always ready to make herself useful, and looking anxiously about her. Oh, do let me help to undo it.
I shall do nothing of the sort,
said the mouse, getting up and walking away.
You insult me by talking such nonsense.
I didn't mean it, pleaded poor Alice, but you're so easily offended, you know.
Humph!
The mouse only growled in reply.
Please come back and finish your story, Alice called after it, and the others all joined in chorus. Yes, please do. But the mouse only shook its head impatiently and walked a little quicker. What a pity it wouldn't stay, sighed the Lory, as soon as it was quite out of sight.
And an old crab took the opportunity of saying to her daughter,
My dear, let this be a lesson to you never to lose your temper.
Hold your tongue, Ma, said the young crab, a little snappishly. You're enough to try the patience of an oyster. I wish I had our Dinah here. I know I do, said Alice aloud, addressing nobody in particular. She'd soon fetch it back.
And who is Dinah, if I might venture to ask the question? Said the Lory.
Alice replied eagerly, for she was always ready to talk about her pet. Dinah's our cat.
This speech caused a remarkable sensation among the party.
Some of the birds hurried off at once. One old magpie began wrapping itself up very carefully, remarking,
Oh, come away, my dears. It's high time you were all in bed.
On various pretexts, they all moved off, and Alice was soon left alone. I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah, she said to herself in a melancholy tone. Nobody seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Dinah, I wonder if I shall ever see you any more. And here poor Alice began to cry again, for she felt very lonely and low-spirited. In a little while, however, she again heard a little pattering of footsteps in the distance, and she looked up eagerly, half hoping that the mouse had changed his mind and was coming back to finish his story. So that's the end of chapter 3. Here's a little preview of chapter 4 that we can, of course, read next time. So I really hope you enjoyed chapter 3. Some funny little spontaneous characters in there. During my reading of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. So, thank you so much again
to all of you for being here, and I promise that I will, of course, catch up with the chat after the stream. I think it would be a little bit tricky to start heading into there right now. I'd rather be present with the current chat, I think. It's a nice sentiment, Violet Maze. I guess I'm the mouse in that instance. Yeah, thanks ever so much, Violet and Shannon and Olivia and Dee and Carla and Teresa. Lovely to have you all here, enjoying the reading and the chat and the silly voices and everything. It's been really, really, really nice. And just... thank you, Shannon. Has that... I don't think that's come into the stream there. Yeah, there you go. Thanks so much. You're so kind, honestly. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Do you have a final request for your... That's me throwing dollars. For your $2 before I head off and get some sleep, Shannon? Thanks, Mary. Thank you very much. Thank you, Erica. How do I say your name, Teresa? How would you say your name? Teresa! Oh, silly family, Susan. Silly family. I hope you can relax with the replay. I've been live for less than 2 hours, so when I finish the stream, the entire stream should be available right from the start, immediately. So if anybody's wanting to go back, if you've missed some, or if there's a particular bit that you'd like to listen to again, then the whole stream should be available as soon as I come offline. So I'll go offline. Come off of online to become offline. Okay, well, fair enough, Shannon. If that was just a pure clean $2. Thank you very, 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 very much indeed. Thank you. Teresa. Holding the S. Oh, I'd absolutely love to go to Ireland as well. Tarisa, darling. That's the only way I would be able to address you if I referred to you as Tarisa. Tarisa Snell. Teresa. Thanks, Carla. I will, and thanks, Dee. I will definitely get some sleep. I'm rather tired. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. But this has been so much fun. And just another shout out to Discord. I'm pushing Discord at the moment because I think it's super good. It's really useful for me. Not in like I said, not in terms of like business or something, not in the slightest. Well, not in, but you know what I mean. It's just the community aspect is super great, and I think it's genuinely really useful for you if you're interested in keeping in the loop with streaming in particular, but other things too. So there's a link there. If that link expires, then like I said, Discord link is in the video description with loads of other links and stuff. So, okay. Thanks so very much to all of you for joining. Thanks for the wonderful comments. Thank you so much for listening. Someone requested that I said that earlier. Do come and say hi on Discord. Please do, of course, consider joining me on Patreon if you're not already over there. You can find me on Facebook. Twitter's coming soon. And yeah, I could mention other things, but I don't think it's necessary. So, yeah. It's Leviosa. And thank you to the tippers tonight. Honestly, that was such a surprise. I was not expecting Carla to throw in that tip earlier. And then for Teresa, Erica, Shannon, and Shannon to tip as well. That is super, super kind. Really kind. Thanks so much. So, good night, everybody. And good day to you if you're just starting things out. And until next time. Hi, Sarah. Thanks very much. And thanks for just popping into the chat as well. That's really nice. I really, really appreciate the chat. It is essential. Super wonderful. Okay, take care, everybody. Stay foxy. And read to you soon.